So can you see how the unhealed trauma in childhood keeps us stuck emotionally when we get into similar situations as adults? Can you see how the patterns just
Loud and
really
clear, especially when you ask me this question right now. Did she mirror someone in my life? I hadn't even thought about it that way, but the answer is definitely yes.
that's awesome. And so, and this is the fabulous thing about the mind. It's like once I see it, it's never going to happen again. I just want to thank you for being here and making time for us.
Oh, I'm happy to.
Yeah, yeah. You did. We could see that you were growing and grasping and understanding and applying.
But what surprised me, I kept hearing all over the internet about how painful this was going to be. Didn't happen. No, because see, growing up, I knew something was wrong with my mom. What I didn't know was how damaged my dad was. And I didn't realize he was also a bully. But through
Right.
the journaling, I woke up on that. So I am just thrilled. I love truth,
Yeah.
Lisa. Yeah, I love truth. I love facts. I love truth. And that's what you have helped me really dig into. And then see, when I started telling my husband, saying, no, I just never felt like anybody was going to love me.
And to me, that's the ache of humanity. It's that we don't even know that we don't feel worthy.
We don't even know.
We don't even know it. We don't. And so if I don't know that I don't feel loved or worthy, then I can never make steps to fix that.
Yeah, I didn't know there were any steps to think about. But I used to feel like when I read your book, The Road
Mhm.
Back to Me, that cinched it. I said, I got to join up with her. I used to always think when I was a teenager and walking home from school with my friends, like I was in this glass cage. Yeah, like why can't I connect with you? I just
Yes.
couldn't. Yeah, so when I read your book, I said, "Oh, this girl's got the answers."
Yeah. Wow. Well, we have similar pain. And like I always say, it's kind of it makes sense when you say it, but you can't fix a hole in the wall that you can't see. So I don't if I don't know there's a hole inside of me, I can't fix it.
Right.
And I will live until my last dying breath in pain and not knowing that the hole was there or how to fix it. And to me, that is what is so sad is that we don't even know that.
Very sad because,
Yeah.
my sister died, after started studying with you and
Hmm.
looking at all your videos, and I didn't know I wasn't supposed to tell her, but see, she was the firstborn. I went to tell her, I said, "Mom did all this to us, not just not wanting to, but she
Right.
did this to us. She made you what you are, and she made me what I am." And so she didn't receive it at all, She didn't get mad, but she just said her usual, "Well, I think I'm pretty damn well perfect."
Yeah, I hear you. And that's again, this old saying, like you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make that horse drink the water.
He wasn't gonna drink.
And so then it's a heartbreak, right? For those of us who come from families like this as a sibling who is waking up.
Yeah,
It's very painful to feel like I have an answer, but you're going to reject it.
yeah, and she did.
Yeah, and that's a different kind of pain.
But the major pain she left me with, her daughter had already died. She left 2 grandchildren, and they are part of the narcissistic family. I cannot, I cannot, I
No.
cannot, not for a minute, I cannot be with them.
Well, that's self-preserving, right?
Never knew I was supposed to love myself, because I was taught, "You better be humble, girl. Put up with whatever we say and do, whatever your friends say and do." That was my dad's teaching.
You always felt this way. You always felt like it sounds like you always felt like something was wrong, but you didn't know what it was.
From 3 years old, he could feel and see, because I had to stay with the babysitter all week. Babysitter sent me to kindergarten the first day by myself. Gave me the wrong direction. When I got to that corner, and you know what I said to myself? I didn't see the bus. I turned around in a slow circle, and I said, "I better get off this corner before a bad man gets me." That's a 3-year-old. I went back home, and I knew she was gonna yell at me, and she did, but I
Mhm.
knew that was preferable to standing on that corner.
At such a young age, you were accepting divine guidance. It's a divine instinct. This isn't safe. I have to get out of here. And you're right. We have to choose the lesser of the devils.
I had another bad babysitter that I would get dropped off at her house on Monday and my hair would be braided. When I woke up at her house on Tuesdays, the braids were undone. And she faithfully whipped me every Tuesday. And even though at that young age, I knew that she knew I did not do that. I knew that it was pleasure for her to whip my butt.
How sad is that?
Mm-hmm.
How sad is that to know? I've heard lots of adult children say things like, I knew that my mother, for instance, or my father, when they were screaming or yelling or doing whatever they were doing, were deriving some sort of sick pleasure in taking this out on me and understanding that I was defenseless and I could do nothing. And that's gives way to the powerlessness that children feel.
Mm-hmm. I definitely felt that. I knew I had no one to talk to. I think my parents were very unsophisticated and were so super damaged. This didn't make sense to them. They just plain purely did not know.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And I think that's true for a lot of us, right? So that generational trauma, that generational karma that follows us, right? So they
You're
didn't
right,
know.
didn't know.
I think what happens sometimes in the spiritual community and even in the mental health community, I know I was shamed when I tried to talk about it. And it was really just me trying to understand, like, what happened to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so there's time for forgiveness and there's time for understanding and understanding that our parents didn't know any better. But without us taking the time, which is what the 12-week class offers you, without us taking the time to say, okay, but how did this dynamic affect me?
Right.
And heal.
One of my girlfriends that is on this journey with me asked me, because see, we're 75 and we've been together from grade school.
Hmm.
She said, well, while you were feeling like this, did you not stop and think to tell someone? And I thought to myself, in the 50s, who are you going to tell? Who are you going to
Yeah.
tell? They did
Who
not
are you
care
gonna tell?
about getting in your family dynamics.
Correct. You're absolutely right. And then even if you did tell, you still need coping skills and
Mm-hmm.
life skills and cognitive skills to understand what's going to happen next. So, yeah, okay, so I tell. Well, who do I tell? I tell the people that I love. Well, the people that I love don't get it.
That's right. And at the age of 14, I did have a lot of suicide ideation. I was like, I am so sad. Would
Yep.
be in my room and I would say, why don't they knock on my door?
Yeah.
They check on me.
Oh, it's heartbreaking.
Didn't happen.
It's so true though. How could I be this invisible to you? How could you not care and think that I'm okay? I am not okay. Right?
That's right. That's right.
Ah, yeah, that's super painful. I think the benefit of having like these conscious conversations is someone will hear it and say, oh my gosh, I felt like that.
That's why I wanted to speak with you, because if I can convince one person to your program and convince one person that whatever pain you're in, there are people here that are going to handle you with love
Mm.
and kindness and gentleness. And
Yeah.
that is for real.
Yeah. And because we've all been there.
Mm-hmm.
Me, my moderators, we've all been there and we do this work every single day. And we also understand the process. In the first week, we have to meet everybody right where they are. Now, we know where we want them to go because we know the power of truth and the
Mm-hmm.
power of awareness and the power of life skills and the power of meditation and journaling prompts. Like, what? The power of just start looking at yourself. Let's just start excavating the self. Don't question it. Let's just get it out. So powerful. And so
Mm-hmm.
we know the benefit of meeting people where they are, right where they are, and then slowly explaining the process very, very slowly of how you lost yourself. There's no room in our group for anything less than empathy and understanding.
I was truly amazed.
So it's even the support group, which I'm hearing you say is that it was the program, but it was even the way that you were handled specifically in the group that allowed you to stick it out, which is
Yeah.
beautiful. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's important for us to like the moderators and us, and we do. It's just, it's important important for the members to feel like these ladies have my back.
Yeah, and they truly do. I hope that someone is hearing this and believing it, because I get the sense that a lot of times people don't want to speak up. It's very worthwhile. People are there to lift us and hold us up.
The reason we're able to do that is because, like I said, we've all been there.
And I don't know if you caught this, but I'm forever grateful and thankful to Ross Rosenberg. I was having therapy under him, and he said, "I can't help you. You need to look into Lisa."
Wow. Yeah. Ross and I have worked together in the past. So I really appreciate that too. I'm so grateful that you're here. It was meant to be, dear one.
Yes, yes.
So I'm going to ask you some questions
Okay.
and we just have a little conversation. What was going on in your life when you decided to take the 12-week breakthrough coaching program?
Well, I had stumbled on the narcissistic websites on YouTube, and I had just come through a really devastating trauma with my BFF beauty operator. Cut my hair off. She snuck and did it. When I got home, she hoovered me and she threatened to triangulate. She did all that. And once I learned I should not respond to her, no contact, the damaged souls and the narcissist just fell out of the sky on me. And I went, how do I stop this? How can I avoid being caught in this painful trap? That's why I said, I got to get help.
When you say other narcissists fell out of the sky, what do you mean by that?
I had done my ancestry.com, and I met a lot of my relatives, all ages, terrible people, almost to a man. I mean, I have hundreds of them in this small town north of Los Angeles, and they are not nice people. I had one cousin who is now 87, and he love bombed me, and then he devalued me, and it was very puzzling until I studied the channels. And so I tossed him away, and all the rest of them too. I got one great cousin out of the ancestry.
The power of knowledge. When you start to learn, I think that's unique about you too, because a lot of people don't start looking for knowledge. They're in it and it keeps happening and they're managing it and it's happening again and again and again and again.
Well, I listened to hundreds and hundreds of videos. And, when you're in those videos, they have the comment section.
Yes.
You learn about what books you should read, all of that.
That's unique about you.
I wanted to know.
When I was diagnosed with codependency, it was like, gimme, gimme, gimme. I have to know, what is this thing?
Exactly.
It just led me to adult children of alcoholic information, reading research, and then going to CODA and ACA meetings. And it just kind of snowballed. But what I found was, even though I didn't understand it completely, this idea that there was a label for this thing that I was experiencing just made me feel like one day it's going to get better. I don't know how, I don't know when, but so I love that. So it sounds like you were in a lot of pain and with this hairdresser and
yeah, I disassociated and everything for 3 days.
Wow.
I disassociated right there in the beauty shop because she's a big, strong bull of a girl. I'm on a walker. She did that, Lisa, the room went dim. Yeah, went dim. And I said, I'm just going to stay calm. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to pay her and get out of here. And I got to drive slow home so I don't have a crash. And I made it home, and I sat in the same spot for 3 days.
So that's a classic CPTSD experience where our brain is overloaded with this stress response. It's almost like a paralysis. It's hard to breathe, right? It's like where everything is slow motion and everything is slowed down. And all we want to do is get out of wherever we are.
So much fear. So much fear.
What do you think you were afraid of with her? Were you physically afraid?
Yes.
Really physically?
Yes. I've seen her attempt to be violent with other people.
Oh, well, so then your fear was valid.
And so I said, the way she's acting now, she was so pumped from what she had done to me. And I said, I just got to get out of here.
Yeah. So she stopped working on your hair once you had that reaction?
No, she did not. I
Wow.
was at the beginning. So I had to sit through that. I had to sit through the conditioning. I had to sit through her pressing it and curling it. But I just vowed to not even look at her and
Yeah.
just stay calm. And I survived.
It sounds to me like it represented feeling powerless,
Very definitely.
feeling dominated, feeling like your voice wouldn't matter. Like, why even speak up? Because she's just going to disregard me and invalidate me and may even become aggressive. So we go right back into the behaviors of childhood where we just stay. But also, those are that's a smart strategy if you feel like you're in danger. You don't want to poke a bear that's bigger and stronger than you.
That's right.
So it was a smart strategy.
I had to get out of there in one piece.
Yeah, yeah. So it sounds like that was the trigger for you. And it was like, okay, I have to figure this out.
That's right. When I came home and that iPad opened up and it was right there on narcissism, and I was reading it and listening. And then when I would hear her symptoms, the evidence of her personality, I was just going, oh, that's what I've been dealing with. Would not talk to me sometimes. Why I couldn't get her to listen was very revealing.
Is there anyone in your family that she energetically mirrors for you?
Maybe my older sister that died. Yeah, I could say her because they were
Yeah.
both grandiose.
So sometimes that happens. So, although it's subconscious, right? So I have this wounded relationship with a loved one.
And my sister was like that. Yes,
Right.
you're right.
It's repetition, right? So it's like I want to be loved by this sister of mine who's so funny and can be so fun,
Yes,
right? But then there's this other side to her that can be grandiose and
yes,
descending or mean
yes,
and discarding. And so we don't stop yearning for that energetic person to love us.
right.
So it's not, but in that relationship, we feel maybe less than or subservient to. We feel like
Yeah,
a child too.
I felt like I better obey.
So
Mhm.
now, even though you're an adult and you're in this chair and she works for you, right? Even though factually she works for you, she's
Mhm.
your employee, right? She has to make you happy. That's not how you feel.
No way.
No.
She would verbalize that. Is my hair. I'm working on this. This is my hair. And she just so many crazy things, and I took it.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say, right? It's like you were taught to take it.
Yeah,
Right? You were taught to take it.
yeah.
So, and here's this person who's similar to a loved one. And so the relationship dynamics are already been set. And so she's saying, this is my hair. It doesn't even pop into your head to say, no, it's not.
No,
It's
no, no. Mm-mm.
my hair. You are paid to do what I need you to do. Right?
No, I could not have done that then.
But now, do you think you could have? It's someone new, of course.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It'll never, it's like poof, that pain versus pleasure flips. And it's like, oh, that's what I was doing. And the brain by default, the reticular activating system right now is working in your mind. Right now, it's working in your mind where
Mhm.
you are associating pain with that type of behavior and pleasure with self advocating. Wait a minute, this is my hair. And women, you have to be careful now because women who have similar traits to these two women, you want
Yeah.
to be on your guard when you're around them so that you don't sink into, sorry, so that you don't sink into the feelings of the inner child, right?
Okay. Okay.
So you just I'm going to stay super aware. What are the facts? If I'm in a hairdresser's salon, the facts are sure it's her salon, but this is my hair and I'm paying for a service and I should be pleased.
Right.
And so if I hear language that suggests that I am not supposed to self advocate or be autonomous, I will correct it.
It's already happened in my new shop.
It's amazing. I remember the first few times that I said no, I was like, it's that easy.
Right.
All I have to do is say no, or I need time to think about it, or I'm very busy, or whatever. It's that easy. All of this in my head from the powerlessness and the worry about what other people were going to think or what
It's
they
only
might do to me.
only here.
That's right. Well, good for you for like honoring yourself and seeing it. That's
I
beautiful.
love it, Lisa. It feels so good.
The truth feels good.
It feels so refreshing. It
Yep.
feels so light.
Yes. And it's You know, that saying, the truth sets you free. And I always tell everybody, it's like, even if it's painful, right? You don't want to see this in this girl, but when you do and you honor it, you feel light because
Yeah,
it's the truth. You know, I don't want to see it, but it's the truth. And then when I see it and just speak it and act as if it is my truth, at least control my part of it, I'm unburdened by it.
it's right. And that it's that shift you talk about.
Right. And it happens like that.
And see, my poor mom was brought up in an orphanage, and her conversation from sun up to sundown was very quiet, but very depressed. And I didn't know it at the time. I was a kid. She was establishing a lot of dark fear in me. When Roy took that hunting trip, I was like, ooh, what am I going to do? So I went to my 12-week program and I went through every single meditation. And then I looked around the house and I didn't see those boogeyman. I used to always be, oh, is the rapist over there? Is he over there? He is gone.
Because it's in our head.
Mm-hmm.
It's in our head.
Yeah, she planted it there.
Now, what goes in sticks and becomes the movie in our head. And then we project it, and that's what we see. And
Right.
then, so then I thought to myself, well, it's not my fault. This went in and this is coming out. But what if I controlled the in
Mm-hmm.
with the meditations, with the
With the
books,
meditation.
the videos, with the
And all that good studying you did on the amygdala. Oh, I love it.
yeah. So what if I controlled what went in, right? I didn't leave it up to the news media. I didn't leave it up to the daily news. I didn't leave it up to my friend who doesn't do this work. I didn't leave it up to my family that never did recovery work. I took control over it. I said, yeah, I know what's going on over here, but this is what I'm going to focus on. What if I did that? It was impossible for the output not to change, which is what you're experiencing because you controlled the input now. You control it. So now you're controlling the output.
And loving every minute of it, I tell you.
That's awesome. Just don't give up. Just keep going. So the next question, what did
Mhm.
you learn in the program that you did not know before?
The importance of observing me. I'm so thrilled to understand that I can observe my behavior and analyze it, and I can say, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to act like that. That has so impacted my marriage. Poor Roy. He was married to this infant, this
Yeah,
baby,
yeah,
who, if she got frustrated, like with the trying to learn the computer or the cell phone,
right.
she would throw up her hands and just cry. And then he would get so angry, his eyes would bulge. We don't do that anymore. I just go, honey, I have to remind you, you're much more adept at this than I am. So you got to have a little more patience.
Beautiful.
Oh, I'm patient. I'm patient. And then he really starts exercising it.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen that happen before where a marriage greatly improves. When I start to understand this behavior, and then I develop compassion for this child that's so stuck, understand the emotional stuckness of my own consciousness. It could be no other way. And so now, and that's the beauty of one of the beauties of the program is that, and that was intentional. So I wanted to craft it over 12 weeks because I studied and I knew that if I could help people adopt and adapt to a learning mode, they would have to come out of anxiety because anxiety and learning can't happen at the same time. Now we're thinking with a different area of the brain, which is called metacognition. So now it really is, they say, you know, as a kid, right? Put your thinking caps on. It's not far off. So if I think about the cap, the neural cap, the neocortex, this is operating when this part of my brain becomes online. My thinking is from my thinking cap.
Mm-hmm.
And I can observe. So imagine that your neurons have eyes. What are they observing? Your behavior.
Yeah, I love it.
So it's like, so now what we have to do is we have to stay conscious every day. We have to stay in observer mode every day. That's the creative space.
Well, I do slip. And then sometimes I go, oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I saw all that journaling I had to do. I got so mad. How many times do I have to write this? But that's how I learned about my dad through the journaling.
Yeah.
Because then the memories start to.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. That's the benefit of the journaling packs.
It's wonderful. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah. So what did you learn about your dad that kind of set you free a little bit?
What I learned about my dad is the major thing I had to grieve over. One of the major things I had to grieve over is that he was a little tiny man, and because my mother was the boss, covert narc, there was no one else for him to push around but me. And he couldn't touch her. He could not deal with that. So he did a lot of horrible things to me. I couldn't have friends call me on the phone. It just very embarrassing things. I had to worry about when I started wearing a bra, I had to worry about my bedroom door being locked because he would just barge in, so I had to come to understand why. I did realize he was bullying me most of my life. It took me several weeks to grieve through that. What I would describe my mother's abuse as is having poured all the liquid all over me, and my dad held the hammer. I was afraid all the time that he was going to beat me because when he got angry, see, he was more brown skinned than me. When he got angry, he would get dark, and right now I can picture him glowering at me.
It's frightening.
Very frightening.
So no wonder when this looming hairdresser starts pushing you around, you freeze.
I froze.
Of course you did.
Mm-hmm.
Of course you did. That's all part of your childhood experience,
Yeah,
right?
I froze.
Yeah, makes sense. So the next question, what was
Mm-hmm.
the most important thing that you took away from the program that you believe most applied to you?
To learn the importance of mirroring, and I didn't get that. I'm sure I didn't get that because my mom had to have been preoccupied with her own orphanage because her parents were alive, see, when she went in this orphanage.
Wow.
So she was very sad. I don't know what happened. She didn't tell me, but she just wasn't able to be there for me, and neither one of them were. So I'm quite certain that we as children got on her nerves and we didn't get all the attention and we didn't get that abilities to build our self-esteem from being nurtured.
When moms don't have a healthy sense of self, they can't anchor to the child in
Right.
a sufficient amount of way, like a sufficient way that they're able to consistency is also important because the nurturing has to be consistent and predictable.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, if it's inconsistent and unpredictable, I can't trust it.
Unpredictable. Like I was so much trouble. That is why I had to be farmed out by the week to these different babysitters. I was causing them to have to work and they had to take care of me
Yeah.
and poor mom, poor dad. Now you mentioned shame. I learned to understand. I kept hearing this. We have shame, and I kept saying, I haven't done anything. I'm not ashamed, but I am. I'm ashamed of me. I don't have pride in me. That's when I had to learn the distinction between pride in me versus shameful I did that. Well, the thing about this being lovable, all my friends say, what's not to love about you? You're always agreeable, you're always this, you're always that. Well, that's not healthy, but I had to learn that.
Agreeableness can be very dangerous.
Self detriment.
People like to be around agreeable people. And not everybody that likes to be around an agreeable person is a narcissist. Certainly not. We do, again, what you were saying about metacognition, like, oh, I can observe myself now. It's really important that we
Well,
develop
that's
this.
metacognition when I'm
Correct.
observing myself.
Correct.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
metacognition, the ability to like observe a thought process,
Okay.
right? To observe my behavior.
Yeah.
That's metacognition. And now the ability for you to be able to do that helps you recognize and that you have the ability to question, is that my thought process or is that my mother's thought process?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's not, I would never think that. Ellen, the real awake, aware Ellen, would never think that. And the real awake Ellen might not always be so damn agreeable all the time. And that's okay.
I'm learning to be real. I like it.
That's awesome. You're becoming your true self.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
all you ever had to do. So, what has changed in your life since taking the program?
My marriage has changed dramatically. A lot of friends have gone by the wayside. It's just been okay because I see them now. But the big deal is Roy and I. That's the
Mm.
big change.
Your marriage.
Yeah, because I don't drive him to that grumpy stage. And he's very willing to hear what I have to say. And he knows that, I'm in his corner. He didn't used to feel that way. Yes, really, really some magnificent changes.
So beautiful. What do you think that you learned in the program that helped you transform your marriage?
To watch my own behavior and realize the impact it was having on this poor fellow, because when he decided to go on this hunting trip, that's going to have been the first time he went that he didn't get a lot of
Yeah.
that. And so I noticed he would talk about the trip on his cell phone. He'd try to be incognito with. Finally, I said, I'm going to take this bull by the horn. I said, honey, what date are you leaving? So then he'd tell me, kind of reluctant. And we talk about that. And then I'd say, well, who else is going? And we talk about that. And I say, well, you got to leave me some good info so I know, how you doing up there. And so he did that. And gradually he started to relax. Talk about it. The major thing, too. See, Roy is responsible for all the cooking now. He's really reluctant to fix anything different. Peep that out. And I learned to say, well, when you do something for the first time, maybe doesn't always work out, but we're both learning. So the next time you do it, it'll be better. And me too. Next time I do something, I'm getting better and better at certain things. And it worked out to be true. So he's getting more relaxed with me.
That's awesome. That's so it's sound and this is what codependents do. And we don't realize it is we put so much burden on the people that we love to manage our emotions.
Right.
So if
Okay.
I feel afraid, you are my person.
Why are you running off hunting, leaving me?
I've learned that I can trust you and I don't want to lose you. Right. And so it is triggering when you decide to move left or right and I can't come. Right. So it is triggering. And there is great benefit to healing that trauma, just even unearthing it. Like, oh, that's why I was that way.
Hmm.
Right. So to the point where, and also the ability that you have now to observe your behavior and realize it's like not his responsibility to make sure that you're emotionally okay all the time. That's an inside job.
Right. He's 80 years old. If he can go hunting one more time, he better go on and go.
That's beautiful. So
Yeah.
now what's happened is it's not about your trauma. It's
Right.
about him. And that is love.
Hmm.
That's love. I see you as an autonomous human being. And I even see me where I'm like, I wish he wasn't going to go. But I love you so much that I want you to have a good time.
Exactly.
That's true love.
Now, when
That's
he didn't make it back on Friday, I went, okay, I'm going to meditate. I haven't heard from him. And I put in that post, that I sent the sheriff and everything for him. It was hard for me because I said, suppose I'm wrong and I'm asking for help. But I gave myself permission. And then the sheriff was just as sweet to Roy about it and was just as sweet to me about it. And it all worked out.
it's beautiful. You're starting to notice like the flow and the ease. Even when something is bloop, bloop, bloop on the radar, you're relying on the tool of meditation to center yourself so that your higher mind is making the decision, not your amygdala.
Yeah, well, just to be here talking to you, I
Yeah.
was like, ooh, I can't do that. And then I said, might help somebody.
And it will. There's no doubt.
I did have to learn this, though. I did have to learn to rein it in a little because I have a dear friend that we email a lot, and I noticed that I felt she was devaluing a lot of and invalidating a lot of stuff that I was saying,
Wow.
and I just went off on her, OFF. And then I went back and I read that email after I sent it. And I emailed her again. I said, was I too hard on you? And she said, yes, but I know that's not my L.
Love.
Real love. We haven't missed a beat since.
It dissolves the veils so
Hmm.
that you can have a really authentic relationship
Yeah.
with somebody because you're revealing where you are now and the right people are like, okay, like what your friend said, I know that wasn't you, that was something else, right? Right. And the fact that again we go back to, ooh, I violated my own moral code. That's why you emailed her again.
Yes.
So that's humility, that's grace, that's self accountability, self responsibility, and now you guys can get to the next level.
Right. Right.
Beautiful.
Now, I don't know how much time you have, but left. But I want to make sure I get this in.
Yep.
I want to thank you for your generosity. It's
Oh.
it's it's astonishing.
Mm.
That book, The Quantum Tools,
Hmm.
I cannot put that book down.
That's awesome.
I'm taking extensive notes, but I've only been through it once, so I can't regurgitate it to you, but
Right.
it's a fabulous book. And then I also want to make sure I give a shout out to Mary Kay, Alejandra, Lori, and Michelle Burns. Wonderful ladies. I love.
Awesome. Yeah. So the moderators and also members of your class.
Oh yes, yes,
Yep.
because they
Yep.
say some things too.
Yep.
What I wanted to tell them is encourage them to trust your staff. Yeah, I want to tell it. They are not going to hurt you. They're only going to love you, and they're only going to encourage you.
What do you think that people should know about the program?
Oh, I want them to know how deep and how contemporary your studying went. You
Thank you.
have all the answers for today's studies. For example, the neural pathways and what they're doing, and the other brain function, the amygdala and that type of thing. And like I said before, that you will be handled with the greatest care.
I appreciate that, Miss Ellen. I really do. And the last question I have for you, is there anything you'd like to say to your classmates, the moderators, or me?
The generosity of everybody is just so huge that I feel like thank you is inadequate, but that's what I have to say. I have so much gratitude to all of you.
And I'm
Yeah,
just so glad you had such a positive experience. I really am. You're a beautiful person. And I'm just so honored that our paths have crossed this way.
I am too, because I love you, Lisa.
Oh, I love you too. And
Mhm.
thank you for the joy that you brought to the class and the joy you bring into the Break the Warrior membership site. Like,
And when you say, dear one,
yep.
that's so soothing.
Yeah, that's good. A lot of people say that, and I mean it really from my heart because I know that we needed to hear that.
And bring on those meditations, girl. I love them. Talk about soothing.
I'm on a mission. I want to bring everybody to the highest level of consciousness that I could possibly assist them to getting, because it's such a beautiful place to be compared to where we were. And the love that we can, like the way that you're loving your husband, right? It just gets better and better and better. And I think that's the reason we're born, is to return to love. And then we can give it to ourselves, we heal, and then we're able to offer it to other people.
Yep. Thank you so much.